All right, so this is part two of You Have More Than What You Think. And today I want to get into the really like the nitty gritty of what does a budget look like. So you realize you need a budget, you realize you need to manage your wealth better. But what does that actually look like? And so I'm going to show you kind of the things that I have done over the years and how to get you started on really measuring and managing your wealth well. So first off, I just wanted to say that these are all principles. They're not formulas. So I'm not trying to teach you to say, do it exactly this way and you have to budget this amount like I do or have this category. These are just principles for you to take and apply into your life to make them work for you. So I try to keep stuff a little bit vague so that it's easier to see them as principles and not formulas. So I want to talk about my first budget. Now, my first budget that I did as a youth, and it was just super, super simple on paper, nothing fancy. But this is kind of the idea of what it looked like. So basically, what I did is I put all my categories that I had at the time, and then I would just write down every time I spent money. I would just write it down. And so as the year went on, it would just fill up down the row. And then at the end of the year, I would total it all up so I could see. And I would try to put up here, I would just put a little number that was like, this is my estimated ballpark budget I'm shooting for in this category to try to give myself a standard to stick within. What was interesting is I would take it and I would put it into a form, and this I did on a spreadsheet on the computer so that it would do the math automatically, but I'd put it into a form and I'd have my spending and I'd have my income. So I would put the year, I'd write the year in here, and then I would have all my categories written across the top here. So then for that year, I'd fill it out. And so I would put in the total amount I spent in each category across the top here. And then I would put the total amount spent in that year with all the categories combined. And so then as each year went on, it would fill up each row. And then I would have, my total that I would have as far as what I spent for the year. For all the years combined. So I had 7 years where I did this, where I had 7 years of this is my total spend. And at the bottom here, you would have the total on a specific category. So after 7 years, I could see how much I spent on, for instance, like clothes, how much I spent on entertainment, how much I spent on a car, all of those different things, which is really interesting to see what's costing you the most money and areas where you maybe could cut back or spending more than you could. So this gave me a way to be able to see each category over time as well as each year over time. And then at the bottom, I would put my income. And so again, I would have my year, and then I'd have my different income sources over time. So I just put my jobs that I worked over the years, and any year that I was working those jobs, I just put the income in for those specific jobs. And then again, each year you'd fill it down. And at the bottom, I would have the total amount that I made from that specific. So total amount I made from babysitting over those years, total amount I made for face painting, which again is really interesting because it's amazing actually sometimes, even when you think you're just making little bits at the time. As a youth, it's amazing to me how much, as you totaled up the years, how much money actually went through my hands in those years. Was interesting to see over time. And then at the bottom, I would just have my grand total, where it would add up my grand total of what I've spent and then my grand total of what I made, which again is super interesting numbers to be able to see. So that was my super, super basic, as a youth, what it looked like. Now, once Dallas and I got married, we definitely needed something more robust than that. And so that's when we started using You Need a Budget. And I love it. I've gotten so used to it now, I wouldn't want to use anything else. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. And so I'm going to basically just dive into You Need a Budget. I'm going to show you what it looks like, how it can work for you. And hopefully at the end, you'll see that it is a very valuable tool and that you should give it a try. So here's the website for You Need a Budget. You can try it for 34 days for free and just give it a try, see what you think. I think once you start it, you won't look back. So basically, once you have it downloaded, you'll go to your icon, a little tree. Okay, So I'm going to be starting a totally new one so you can see what this looks like. Everything's good. Date format. Perfect. Okay. So you'll have it started. This is your blank slate. The first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to add an account. So you're just going to type in the name of your account. We'll just leave it how it is right now. Checking account and your current recent known balance. So we're just going to say that you have $5,000 in your bank account right now, and it's budgeted on your account. You want it there. So there it shows up $5,000. If you have other accounts, you can add those accounts so that it's all here. So you have any, other savings or whatever, so that you can see your total of what you have. So now we have this. And what I love about this is really just like a checkbook, really. And so anytime that you spend money or you have money come in, you just add it in there, date, where you got it from, where you spent it, and then you can put it into a budget category. We'll get into that in a minute. And then any notes that you want. And then you just put whether it was outflow, inflow, save, easy. I went and I just went to Amazon and I bought a thing for, let's see, for myself. And it was a watch. And I spent $35 on it, save. Now you can see here at the bottom, it has taken out the $35. Now it says this is what your current one is. And now this is also where you clear it. So if you clear it, you can see at the bottom here, if it will show you unclear transactions. And then when you go through and look at your, your credit card, whatever, you can clear it, so that you know up to date what has been actually cleared coming through and what is still yet, what is pending, and you haven't actually gone down and checked up. So yeah, so that's a really easy way to keep track of what you're spending. Now we're going to get into a budget. Okay, so this is setting up your budget. Now these are just all automated categories that You Need a Budget has put in for us that are common categories a lot of people have. Now, if you don't want, if you want to change the name or you don't want it, you can just click on right on the category. So this one says other. So say we're like, you know what? We don't need that. Delete category, tithing is just fine. And then if you wanted to change a name, we're going to say, okay, for this one, we're just, instead of doctor, dental, we're just going to say medical. That's how I prefer to say it. Anything medical. So then we're going to take this one out, click on it, delete, then everything, delete the category, everything just goes under medical. And then under here, as far as, let's see, we got housing, food, personal, recreation. Under personal, I'm just going to actually put in here too, we have a kids budget. I'd like to put something on there for just as far as kids, clothing, toys, all that kind of stuff. So then once we have defined these categories down here, then and we know what, we just basically go in and put anything that's outflow out of your income, just put anything down here. Now I would really recommend that if you have somebody else that you're sharing your accounts with or you're budgeting with, that you sit down together and you decide on what are these categories going to be and what should this budget actually look like. So what's cool about this is that then once you get into defining your categories, then you just click over here and now you have to decide and define how much you want to put in per month on that category. So say we have $5,000 a month. That's what we're making. That's what's coming in. So we got our $5,000 up at the top. We're going to say 10% of that is $500. Okay. So we put $500 in there. Now we have under here, we have available to budget 4,500, right? It automatically takes off the 500. So fantastic. Groceries, we're going to have $600 in there. Restaurant, $100, say. Now again, this is principles, not formulas. I'm not trying to tell you what your category should be. I'm not trying to tell you how much you should budget for these accounts. I want to give you this just as principles for you to come in and see what that should look like. Every time you put in your budget, it's going to minus it from what your available budget. So you'll start to see, so that you make sure that you stay within that. some of these categories we don't even have on our budget. So I'm honestly just throwing in numbers. Again, choose your categories and choose what you want to put in. Now, what you really want to do is you want to give every dollar a job, and so you want to be able to budget in your whole budget in here. And if I'm not saying like, oh, we have extra, okay, let's just throw an extra here where we don't need it. It's like, no, figure out what you want each budget to be, and then if you have extra, you could just put one in here and say, you know what, we have emergency fund, retirement. I want to add in here. I just want a savings category. So actually, what we're gonna do is I want to do 150 here, and then I'm going to do $40 just into savings or whatever, right? So assign all of the amount that you have to work with to something, so that every dollar has a job. It has a place where you want it to be. Be super intentional about what your categories are, and then be super intentional about how much you want to put in each of these. Again, principles, not formulas. Any of this amount here, I'm just throwing in numbers. So don't worry about trying to copy or that you need to be on any of this. It's not, as I said, a lot of this isn't necessarily even our categories or that, but I want to give it to you as far as principles. So now you have put in all these categories. So now when you go and spend money, like I said, you put in here, you can say, okay, I went to my grocery store, AG Foods, and I spent money on, and you just start typing groceries. There we go. See, I put $600 into my grocery budget. Perfect. Okay, I don't need a memo on that. It's all into groceries. That's fine. I have an outflow of no, I didn't spend $600. I went and spent $150 on groceries. Okay, so then the cool part is if you come back into your budget over here, it automatically adjusts it. So here we have $150 on groceries. There's your amount. Now you have $450 left that month to spend. And if you click on it, you're going to see your checkbook. Okay, 150 at AG Foods and on this date. Super cool. So as you get more, you're going to be able to see all of these. Now, if you click on it here, boom, goes and highlights right where it is if you need to adjust it or anything like that. This, I can't say enough good things about this program. It's clean, simple, but it's there if you need it. So now what happens is that, say you did not spend your full amount in groceries. We're just gonna look at groceries. Now we're into June, right? So you could say, I just want to budget the values used last month. Fill empty budget cells, boom. Okay, so now June, it's all budgeted there again. Now you're gonna have to put in your income again so that you're on track here, because it will show you whether you have it in the budget or not. But anyways, so now you have it all here. Now in groceries, you have 1,050 because it's adding the 600 plus the 450 you didn't spend last month, right? So what I love about this is it rolls forward your savings. And so you know that, like, for instance, in gifts, what I love about this is that it will roll forward your savings. I didn't spend any money in gifts this month, so now I have 400 this month. So now when you get to Christmas, you have all this money rolled forward that's already there waiting to be spent for Christmas gifts. And it's not like all of a sudden you get to December and you spent all this money, the credit card's due, and you're like, great, how am I going to pay for this? It's like it's already set aside for that purpose, which is fantastic. The other thing that works really good as far as rolling forward is just things like with like car insurance. I love this because often there's a little bit of a discount if you pay your car insurance all in one lump sum. And so what you do is you just put that amount in every month, and then it rolls forward into the next month. And so when your when your car insurance comes due, you already have that money sitting there budgeted for that purpose. So instead of bills coming and feeling like you're always trying to catch up, they come and you're expecting it and the money's sitting there already designated for that purpose. It feels great to plan and not to feel like you're constantly reacting, but to be feeling like you're able to take control of this. So what I love about this is just the intentionality of this. It's amazing how much when you actually sit down and put this budget together, how much you might be surprised that you spend way more in a certain category than you thought and what you thought was realistic. Often where a lot of this goes is groceries and restaurants, coffees, those kind of things. You think, oh, this is pretty realistic. And then you actually start to track it and you realize I'm spending a lot of money on coffees. I'm spending a lot of money on eating out. Now, if you want to spend that money on coffees, that's fine, but just put it in your budget, right? So that you know where it's going. And so for the first bit, you're probably going to be adjusting this. You might end up finding yourself adding categories. You might end up finding you're adjusting this, but I really recommend, again, sitting down with your spouse if you can and just defining these categories, defining what you're going to spend, so that you can both be on the same page. I think it's going to relieve a lot of those financial pressures and stresses that often happen in relationships because you're able to designate it. And there might be a little bit of give and take where you think this is, they want to spend something on something you feel like that's extravagant, they don't need to, but you want to spend money on something else over here that they think is extravagant. So you might have to do a little bit of give and take, but just try to define that and put it within what your monthly income is. So there's lots here. There's reports you can run on this stuff. You can track, lots of tracking that you can do. But I just want to get you into the basics. Like, you need a budget. Just go start it. Go get the free trial. Go try it out. I think you will be really happy. All it takes is just a little bit of discipline to start off at the beginning. Doing something new often is hard. It requires discipline. But if you stick to it, I think you're going to find that you are going to be happy that you did. And so then when it actually comes down to entering in the categories, often what I do is I just have one day a week where I will fill in my budget. So I will come in, for instance, I'll just add a new account. I have my credit card. And we'll just put that on 0 at the moment. Okay, so I have my credit card, but as I start spending money, it's going to start racking up. So I'm going to go to like my online banking and I'm going to look at my statement, right, of what came through my credit card. And so once a week, I'm just going to go through here and say, on the 24th, I went to Home Hardware and I bought some grass seed. So we're going to put that under maintenance and repairs for our yard. And I bought some grass seed, and the grass seed cost me $15. Save. Okay, put that on my credit card. So now I have $15. So you're just going to go through and put down every outflow on your statement. Then your statement should match what's down here. And then you're just going to go through and clear it once you've actually put it on. Just going to go through, enter in all of those, and then you'll pay for your credit card. Once you pay for it, you can say, I am going to, on the 29th, doing my budget today, I am going to transfer from my checking account. I want to transfer money for May, and it's going to be an inflow for $15. So what that does is it takes $15 from my checking account and it puts it onto my credit card. And then I just need to go and actually make sure I pay that off. But now it's all budgeted. So okay, I just paid off my credit card. It came straight on my checkings account. So don't have to worry about that. And it's coming to maintenance repair, 15. If I click on it, Home Hardware grass seed. Fantastic. That is easy. If you are not doing a budget, there's no excuse. And like I said, this might feel a little bit overwhelming at first, but once you get in it and try it, trust me, it's very user friendly. Just get in it, try it a little bit for yourself. And yeah, again, there's this whole help thing here too. If you need help, click on the help. Yeah, so I hope that helps and that you start managing and measuring your money and start realizing maybe doing some of the things that you dream about doing are a lot closer than what you think they are. So there you have it. I hope that that was encouraging to you, that you will go out and take that action, download You Need a Budget, try it for the free trial, and start managing your money and being intentional about reaching those goals that you've been dreaming about but feel like they're too far off. Start reaching them today.